In today's video, I am going to be ranking the best player on each NBA team. Before we get right into it, all I want to say is that there are going to be no rookies in this list because they haven't really played an official NBA game. So let's get right into it without further ado. At number 30, I have the Orlando Magic, and their best player is Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac was out for the whole entire year last year due to a torn ACL, but I'm still giving him this best player award because he still is. He's a defensive monster, and I think he'll come back next year and still be the best player, but nonetheless, he's still number 30. Number 29 goes to San Antonio Spurs, and I am going to give this to DeJounte Murray. Spurs lost a lot of players in free agency, like LaMarcus Aldridge, he retired, DeMar DeRozan, Rudy Gay, and they don't have many options left, so I'm just going to give it to DeJounte Murray. Number 28 goes to the Detroit Pistons, and I am going to give it to Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant was an elite scorer last year, averaging 22 points per game, and though I don't think he'll be the best player this year, I'm not allowed to put Cade Cunningham because he hasn't played a game, so I'm going to give this spot to Jeremy Grant. Number 27 goes to the Houston Rockets, and I am going to give it to Christian Wood. I honestly really like Christian Wood's game, and I think he's going to have a great career ahead of him. He played really good on Houston, and I think he'll be really good next year too. Number 26 is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I am giving this to Colin Sexton. I'm a huge fan of Colin Sexton's game, but he's just not better compared to the 25 players ahead of him. Number 25 goes to the Charlotte Hornets, and I am giving this to LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is by far their best player. He really showed that in his rookie year, and yeah, 25 to LaMelo. And the number 24 spot goes to the Memphis Grizzlies, and their best player is another young point guard, Ja Morant. Honestly, Ja Morant can arguably be 23, 22, maybe even 21, but for now, he's a little young, and I think this is a good spot for him right now. Number 23 goes to the Toronto Raptors, and I am giving this to Fred VanVleet. I think he's a bit better than Siakam. I think just his overall game is a little better. Now, that being said, I don't even know how I feel putting him over Ja Morant, but for now, I'm just going to let it be. Fred VanVleet is a bit better than Ja Morant. I assume next year that'll change. But you know what? Just for now, honestly, I'm going to just give this spot to Fred VanVleet. Number 22 goes to the Indiana Pacers, and their best player is Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis was an all-star last year, and honestly, I could put him ahead of other players. But I don't know, just something about it made me put them ahead. So, 22 for Domantas Sabonis. Number 21 goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and their best player is Karl Anthony Towns. Another player that Domantas Sabonis could arguably be better than. And honestly, due to the lack of games that Towns has not played, I was seriously considering putting Sabonis above him. It's very interchangeable, but for now, this is just my list. It's all my opinion. Feel free to do whatever in the comments, but this is my opinion for now. It's really interchangeable. Number 20 goes to the Sacramento Kings, and their best player is De'Aaron Fox. Now, De'Aaron Fox, I don't feel bad putting Towns over Towns because De'Aaron Fox played like an all-star. He's super underrated and doesn't get enough recognition. Averaged 25 points per game, and yeah, just a super underrated point guard, and 20 might even be low for him. Number 19 goes to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm a huge fan of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's game, and honestly, 19 for a trash team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, it really shows how much Shea's potential is being wasted there. So hopefully soon he can get a good supporting cast, and if they can start winning games, he may be a top 15 player in this list, not in the league, on this list. At number 18, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, and this goes to Zion Williamson. Last year, it would have been a competition whether it's a rookie Zion or Brandon Ingram. But this year, Zion had a breakout year, 27 points a game, shot 60% from the field. And yeah, honestly, he definitely deserves to be number 17. At number 16, we have the Chicago Bulls, and their best player is Zach LaVine. I was really thinking about giving it to DeMar DeRozan or maybe even Nikola Vucevic. But still, Zach LaVine is an elite scorer, an elite three-point shooter. And overall, I think next year he will be their best player. And yeah. At number 15, we have the New York Knicks, and their best player is Julius Randle. I'm really high on Julius Randle, especially because of that breakout year he had last year. 24 points, I think something like 10 rebounds and 6 assists. Yeah, he just played great, took home the Most Improved Player award. He became really unselfish last year, and hopefully he can keep this up next year in 2 years, and yeah, he's number 15. Alright, I look back at the footage and I messed up some numbers. Like, I gave Zion 17, so I called Randle number 15. He's actually number 16, so I apologize about that. But number 15, the real number 15, we have the Miami Heat, and their best player is Jimmy Butler. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Butler. He is one of the best two-way players out there, and number 15, he just cracks the second half of the list. At number 14, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and their best player is Trey Young. Now, honestly, I was seriously considering putting him in maybe the top 13, top 12, but you know what? In the end, I just didn't. Trey Young had one of the best runs in the playoffs, and the crazy thing is, nobody expected it from him. I personally thought that the Hawks would get out in the first round to the Knicks, but he carried them to the conference finals. His court vision is insane, and overall, he's an elite three-point shooter, and he's just a great player, and 14's kind of even low for him. But yeah, in the future, Trey Young's going to be a beast. At number 13, I have the Utah Jazz, and maybe before it would have been a competition, but it's really no competition now. Their best player is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is an elite scorer, and he not carried the Jazz, but he made the Jazz the best team in the league while being their best player. So impact like that really boosts your ranking to me. Like, you really have to be an impactful player if you want to be high on whatever list I make, and Donovan Mitchell did that, carried his team to the best team in the league, and number 13 for Donovan Mitchell. At number 12, we have the Boston Celtics, and then their best player, another no competition, it's Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has really showed that he is a superstar, if you want to say. He is an elite scorer, and people are comparing him to Kobe Bryant. I'm not, but just people are. So if you're getting comparisons to Kobe Bryant, you know that you're really good. He's had so many memorable games, like the 60-point outing against the Spurs and 50-point games in the playoffs. Now, this might be really low to some of you, but you know what? Just some people I have ahead of him are just a little bit better. But next year, he can definitely be maybe even like a top 12 player, not on this list, in the league. We'll see. At number 11, just missing the top 10, I've got the Washington Wizards, and then their best player is Bradley Beal. Now, a lot of you might be wondering why I have Bradley Beal over Jason Tatum, and it's quite simple, really. Bradley Beal averaged 31 points per game. That is second in the league behind Steph Curry, and that is crazy. And you can't even say that Tatum's had a bigger impact on his team, because Tatum led Boston to the 7th seed, while Beal led him to the 8th seed. Yes, Westbrook did stuff, but Jaylen Brown did stuff too. But you know what? This isn't a comparison on who's better, Beal or Tatum. I just think that Beal's a little bit better for now. When you average 31 points per game, you're better than most players in the league. And Bradley Beal, number 11, this might be too high for some of you, but I think he really deserves a spot. Now we're finally in our top 10, and coming in at number 10, I have the Phoenix Suns, and their best player, oh boy, I'm going to get a lot of hate. It's Chris Paul. Now, you might be thinking, why is Chris Paul better than Devin Booker? And I have a feeling I'm going to get a lot of hate just because of this selection. But honestly, I have my reasons. Devin Booker is a way better scorer, but Chris Paul is just better at everything else. He has way better basketball IQ. It might be because he's in the league longer, but nonetheless, he is way more of an impactful player than Booker. Booker couldn't lead his team to the playoffs in his, 5 years before Chris Paul, and Chris Paul comes and takes him to the finals. That is truly an impactful player, and that's what I look for in a good player, like I said with Donovan Mitchell. His IQ is also through the roof. He knows who to pass to. He makes passes that I don't even see through the TV watching the games, and Chris Paul is better than Devin Booker, and he is number 10 on this list. Alright, I don't want this video to be too long, so for the next players 9 to 6, I'm just going to briefly explain them, nothing too long, so yeah. Number 9, we have the Dallas Mavericks, and this one's kind of obvious. Their best player is Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is absolutely insane. He was insane this year, he was insane last year, and he is just going to get better. He is a triple-double machine, and his playmaking, just like Chris Paul, is through the roof, and scoring ability, also amazing. Master that step-back 3, and he's number 9. At number 8, we've got Damien Willard. And I'm not even going to say the Portland Trailblazers because he's been the Portland Trailblazers for the past 5 years or so. Damien Willard has been absolutely carrying them. And even with him trying his hardest, they just still can't go anywhere. But you know what? We're not here to talk about their recent failures. Damien Willard alone is a great player. The clutchest player in the league. Probably. Yeah, probably. And scoring ability is amazing. He was super close to averaging 30 points per game. He has probably one of the best shot out there. And Damian Lillard at number 8. Oh boy, I am ready for hate now. Number 7, we have LeBron James. This might be way too low for some of you Bron fans out there, but you know what? It's the sad reality now. As good as LeBron James is, you gotta appreciate greatness. I am not saying he's washed by him at number 7 whatsoever. He is not washed at all. He is still playing some of the best basketball out there. And just the thing is, this is one of those scenarios where the actual player is good, just the people ahead are better. And that's the same case for LeBron. It's time just to look at LeBron as not even a top 5 player in the league anymore, and that's just the truth. And we're on number 6, just short of the top 5. We have the 76ers. Their best player is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, just the process has not been working, but he himself has been extremely talented. He has been so good every single year. And the fact that his team doesn't work well together makes people underestimate him and make him kind of underrated in a way. He is a top 5, 6, 7 player in the league. And people just don't see that because his team doesn't have success. But if we're looking at individual talent, Embiid is definitely up there. And number 6 is a good rating for him. He averaged almost 30 points last year. And you're going to tell me that he's not top 10? And now we're in our top 5, the best of the best. And number 5 goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. And their best player is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, is super underrated. He had one of the best playoff performances, not of all time, but in this playoffs. He averaged 32 points in the first round or something like that on 60% shooting. The last player to do that was Shaq. And it is unfortunate that he's going to be out for most of next season. He is still one of the best, he is the best two-way player in the game. He can get you buckets and he'll clamp up your best player. And you know what? Kawhi is just, I don't know why he's so underappreciated. Maybe it's just because he's quiet or something. I don't know. But this guy's a real good player. And honestly, I could have even put him higher. At number 4, we have the Denver Nuggets. And their best player is the MVP, Nikola Jokic. So you might be thinking why this is so low for the MVP. But honestly, I think we can all agree that Nikola Jokic is not the best player despite winning MVP. He's not the best player in the league. And everyone can agree with me on that. That being said, he is an amazing center. He changed the way centers are going to play in terms of his playmaking, in terms of his shooting. Centers are usually, back then centers usually back to the basket and, hook shot or whatever. But lately they've been evolving into, they're taking jump shots now and slowly. But we have never seen a playmaking center as good as Nikola Jokic. He is still one of the best players in basketball. All right, we're in our top 3 now. And number 3, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. And this goes to Giannis Antetokounmpo. And this is also another one that he should be top 2 or maybe even the best player on this list or maybe in the league. But you know what? I think you guys know who the last 2 players are, but I wanted to put him ahead of Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant is basically Giannis, but just skinnier and with a jump shot. And he's very elite, Kevin Durant. Same with Steph Curry. But number 3 for Giannis, he led Milwaukee to a championship, something that no one thought would happen with Giannis in Milwaukee. But yeah, he did the impossible, so to say. And yeah, Giannis is still a really good player. At number 2, I have the Brooklyn Nets. And I actually, for a portion of the season, I thought that James Harden was better than Kevin Durant. But you know what? I don't know. Something just changed. Maybe it was Durant's great performance in the playoffs. And I am going to give this to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the definition of elite. He is one of the best scorers of all time. And this year didn't change. Coming off a torn ACL, and nobody knew how he would react to it, but he reacted just fine. He played amazing this year. Like, he's Giannis with a jump shot. That's how I like to put it. And you know what? Number 2 for Kevin Durant, as much as people don't like him, you have to admit he's a pretty good basketball player. And at number 1, we have the Golden State Warriors. The best player in the league is none other than Stephen Curry. Steph Curry, what is there to say? He led the league in scoring 32 points per game. He went on that 37-point per game rampage in April, and he is just the best player in the league. His shooting is matched by no one. He has already changed the way of basketball, and just as we think he's washed, the Warriors dynasty's over, he does this. He goes and averages 32 points a game. Yeah, you know what? His scoring is amazing. His playmaking for a relatively bad team, aside from him, was pretty good. 6 assists on a bad team. That's good. And yeah, his efficiency on top of it is also amazing. And I can make a whole video about how good Steph Curry is. But you know what? I'm going to end it on there. That's going to wrap my video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Comment who you think is the best player in the league. And be sure to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.